Hi guys, hope you're having a great day.
Hey guys, Hatfield McCoy Museum and Adventures. This is going to be more of a investigates mine and Sheila's part. And Sheila, what's it about?
Today's story is about Susan Smith, who murdered her two sons. She, as you know, she left them in their car seats and then put her car into gear and let it roll into a lake.
We don't know how many of you remember this back in the day. This was 1994, 30 years ago. She killed Alex and Michael. That was her two little children. And she's up for parole.
Yep.
They gave her life.
Right.
But at the time, life didn't mean life. In South Carolina at the time, I think the trial was in 95, the jury thought they were giving her life. They had her on the death penalty. The jury said they wanted her to live through it every day for the rest of her life. They thought, so they gave her life, thinking she was going to serve life in prison. Life in prison in South Carolina at that time was 30 years, and you're eligible for parole. So the next year, 96, South Carolina changed the law. And they made it where life is now life. Nobody else can get confused like that anymore. You know, Susan's been in all kinds of trouble while she's been in prison for 30 years. She's had her a couple of boyfriends, a couple of guards.
Yeah, she was dating the guards.
Dating the guards, having sex with the guards, and they transferred her. Felon drug screens, drug tests. Wanting to hook up with a book writer or columnist or something and do her story, and that's not allowed in South Carolina. They say, her lawyer said she suffers from mental disorders. I can't think of a better place for her to be than in prison if she's got a mental disorder like that. He says that's why she killed her two children, mental disorder. Well, that's and then she blamed it on the innocent man, of course.
Oh, her husband?
No, she blamed it on a black guy.
Oh, yes, when she said that he had come up and jumped into her car and put a gun to her side.
So it was totally, for 9 days, South Carolina was in the media.
The world, really.
Was having a frenzy there from her and her stories. Now, when it comes on here in a little bit, we'll take you to the hearing.
Court proceedings,
to the parole hearing and let you hear what they say.
The first video that we're going to play, though, is like from back then, 1994.
Oh, okay.
And it shows how they responded, how she responded, and how she was telling how the gentleman jumped in her car, and she gave out interviews they did of the event that took place.
Okay. So, well, for anybody that's not up on it, if you're younger than 30 or you don't remember the case, Sheila's going to show you a video.
Yep. I'm going to show you a video. So just a second here. Here we go. I'm going to widen the screen for just a little bit here so I can see.
Sure.
And then I'm going to hit. Yeah, thanks.
It is arguably one of the biggest cases of the 90s that people remember. A mother, Susan Smith, pleading with the public for the return of her sons, only for her to confess days later that she had killed them. It's a story that made national and international headlines. Last month marked 30 years since the deaths of those two kids, and the story back in the headlines now because of the possibility that Susan Smith could get parole.
Take me back to what happened.
This is her first interview.
Okay, I was stopped at a red light, and just out of nowhere, this black guy came up and opened the door and jumped in the car, and he had a gun, and he had it pointed in my side and told me to drive, and so I did. And When I tried to ask him why he was doing this or whatever, he just told me to shut up or he'd kill me.
This is the first interview done with Susan Smith and her husband David right after she reported her two sons, Michael and Alex, missing. But even then, something didn't really make sense with the case. Cynthia Barnes Booker was the first reporter who spoke with Smith right after it all happened, a story that to this day she remembers. And she remembers the conversation she had with a coworker right after.
She couldn't look me in the eye. She kept looking down. So I didn't really know what to make of that. I said, something doesn't sit right. I don't know. I don't believe it. I just don't believe the story.
But it was a story that got a lot of attention in a short amount of time. And over the course of 9 days, searches extended all over Union County, South Carolina, across the region, and even across the country, even as investigators and prosecutors, like then Solicitor Tommy Pope, had an issue piecing Susan's initial story together. 9 days later,
they gave her a legal pad and said, just write how you were feeling. And that's when the quote confession, it was the worst day of my life. Somebody I loved did not love me. I sunk to my lowest when I let the kids go down the ramp without me. That tied her to doing it.
Susan Smith has been arrested and will be charged with 2 counts of murder in connection with the deaths of her children, Michael 3 and Alexander 14 months.
The car recovered from John D. Long Lake, the children still inside, and a case that left a lot of people with feelings about her and the case that has still lingered on even after 30 years. Susan Smith was convicted and sentenced to life with the possibility of parole. Initially imprisoned at Columbia, 2 guards were later charged with having sex with her. Since then, she's been at a state correctional facility in Greenwood and has had some trouble even in prison. The latest incident happened earlier this year when she was charged with communicating with a documentary filmmaker in prison and received money from him. This is against South Carolina Department of Corrections policy on prisoners doing interviews. They can't do them at all. Tommy Pope, who prosecuted Susan Smith's case and who is now a lawyer in Rock Hill and a state legislator, says Smith should stay in prison.
I'm a supporter of truth in sentencing. The jury gave her life. I think she needs to remain there. I think she has not learned her lesson, and I'm sadly not sure that she ever will.
I want to say to my babies,
Here she is.
that your mama loves you so much.
Look at her trying
Across
to
9
cry.
emotional days.
I can't even describe what I'm going through. I mean, my heart is just, it just aches so bad.
Susan Smith betrayed America.
Whoever has them, I pray every day that you're taking care of them.
Hundreds search for her maroon Mazda, which she claimed was carjacked by a black man.
All he ever told me was, shut up or I'll kill you. He said, don't say anything else.
Her 2 small boys crying in the back seat.
They were screaming, hollering, crying.
It's hard to imagine that the car has just vanished.
In an era before things went viral, the case went viral.
I wish somebody could turn up something.
People from coast to coast clung to their televisions, praying for the safe return of little Alex and Michael.
But I want these babies home.
We love them, we miss them.
With each plea and home video, Susan knew all along that her children sat at the bottom of John D. Long Lake, strapped in their car seats.
Wow.
Yet lies flowed from her lips like tears down the nation's cheeks.
To whoever has my children, that they please bring them home.
Heading into
panel about why she believes that she is ready to re-enter society. Smith made headlines in 1994 when she said she was carjacked late at night in South Carolina by a black man. She told police the man drove away with her 3-year-old son Michael and her 14-month-old son Alex inside. That led to a 9-day manhunt. And she sat down for an interview on the Today Show, then pleading for their return. Just hours later, after that interview, Smith confessed to killing her sons. Her ex.
Wow.
Sad. How old would they be?
Wow.
Today.
Well, one of them would be 33 and the other one would be 31.
Really?
So
30 years later. The hearing's going to start here in a little bit, but you know, you heard the attorney there, the truth to sentencing, and that's what a person needs. When a court says that it's life, then the jury needs to understand that it's life with parole in 25, life with parole in 30, or life means life. Those people gave her life thinking she was going to spend life there. Now this is 30 years, so she's up for parole, And from here on out, for the rest of her life, she's going to be up for parole
Every
2 years.
Yeah, every 2 years.
Every 2 years. And, you know, first of all, Sheila and I think that when somebody takes a life, we've always said this, whether children or adult, or if you take a life, it costs you your life, whether in prison or the death penalty. But why is a life worth? Somebody says, well, I'll kill them. I'm just going to serve 15 years. I'll get out in 10, good behavior. No, a life, a death should be your life. That should be an even trade. If you take somebody's life, you give up your life in prison or death penalty. And today was all about Susan, or it's going to be all about Susan. It is all about Susan.
Right.
And can't release her into public. Who wants her released back into public? Said she was in love with another man, and he didn't want children. So he told her he couldn't marry her. And that's why she killed her children.
Yeah. It's sad. It's pitiful. Those babies there, those 2 little babies, they couldn't help that. You know, she punished them, and that's not fair. She murdered them.
How about instead of calling it a bad decision or a mistake, or call it what it is, evil, pure evil, when you do something like that, especially to children. I heard somebody say that she now wants, if she gets paroled, she wants to work with animals, cats and dogs and things. I wouldn't trust her. I wouldn't trust her with a dog. Okay, Punk, you want to show the rest of your...
the video here is dealing with her being paroled.
Okay, here comes the hearing.
Yes, ma'am, we are.
So we're going to start it. Okay, come on. Enlarge our screen. Make sure this here should be large. Okay.
Daddy, thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Hunter, if you can advise when the recording has begun.
The recording has begun.
Thank you. The time now is 11:41 a.m. We're resuming our hearings. Our next case will be case number 34. Case number 34, Susan Smith. 1 moment as Leith connects, and she does have supporters, and will be represented by attorney Tommy Thomas.
Thank you.
1 moment as all parties connect.
Ms. Brown Hennerhan, I do have a statement that I need to read into the record, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I have received this correspondence. It is addressed to the Honorable Chair Kimberly Frederick, dated November 20th, 2024. Please be advised that I will recuse myself in the parole hearing of Susan Smith, number 221487. I was acting warden at Camille Graham Correctional Center in 1999, where inmate Smith was housed, and subsequently transferred to Leith Correctional Institution. I have determined that it is appropriate to recuse to eliminate any appearance of affecting her opportunity for parole. Respectfully, Geraldine P. Miro. Thank you, Mrs. Miro. This is accepted. If you would please exit the room. Thank you. Mrs. Miro has recused herself of this case and has exited the room. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have moved her site into the lobby briefly. And 1 moment as we admit all parties.
But she has people here that's supporting her, and then she has the victim's family.
Yeah, opposition.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't correct.
Ma'am, confirming you are Miss Susan Smith.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And attorney Tommy Thomas, are you able to hear us?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Thank you. And there at the support site, confirm you are here in support of Miss Susan Smith.
They're asking, can you hear? Yes, we can hear.
That's the
You're here in support of Miss Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all for joining. You are before the board. Please wait for the chairman to address you.
Good morning, Ms. Smith. Good morning, Mr. Thomas, and good morning to the folks at Watkins. Thank you all for being here with us today. We hope everyone is doing well. Ms. Smith, I want you to know that we have received the packet of information that Mr. Thomas's office provided to us on your behalf, and we have reviewed that packet. So thank you for submitting that in advance of this hearing today.
I want to thank you for your time. I know I've taken a lot of time today. I would just ask if you would please consider her for release.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas, and we appreciate all
Yes,
your
ma'am.
comments.
Thank you.
And again, thank you for the very detailed packet that you presented. Ms. Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
what would you like to tell us today?
Here's Susan Smith giving
First
his.
of all, I want to say how very sorry I am.
It's okay, Susan. Just talk with us.
That's her attorney.
I know that what I did was horrible. And I would give anything if I could go back and change it. And I love Michael and Alice with all my heart.
Loved them to death.
She was 23 at the time of this, 53.
Ms. Smith, were you under the influence of drugs or alcohol the night that you murdered your children?
No, ma'am, I was not.
Your attorney talked about working with mental health. Is that helpful to you?
Ma'am,
Mr. Thomas,
I hear you.
Mr. Thomas talked about the fact that you were working with mental health, and my question is that helpful to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that something that you would be willing to continue with on the outside if you were granted parole?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Smith, your crime took a lot of resources from the law enforcement community. What, if anything, would you say to the folks who worked so hard to find your children if you had the opportunity to speak to them today?
That I'm sorry that I put them through that. I really, really am. And I'm especially sorry to the drivers that I had to find them. I wish I could take that back. I really do. I didn't lie to get away with it. I really didn't. I was just scared. I didn't know how I could tell the people that loved them that they would never see them again. I didn't know how I could tell David he couldn't see his sons again. And I'm sorry. I don't know. I know that's not enough. I know it's not, but I don't know. I know those just sound like words, but they come from my heart. They really do.
Right. One of the things that we review is your institutional record, and you've had some infractions throughout the years.
She got in trouble.
Some involving the use of some narcotics. Do you have any issues with drugs or alcohol at this point?
I don't. No, ma'am, I don't.
And you had a recent disciplinary infraction just a few months ago. So why should this board think that if we grant you parole that you're going to go out and follow the rules and the laws of society if you do not follow the rules within the institution?
How many of y'all think she'll follow the rules?
Well, this last infraction, I was trusted the wrong person. This lady contacted me and I trusted her. I thought she was going to do
A
documentary on mental health, and I really am not guilty of what they charged me with, and I have filed an appeal on that charge. And as far as your question, I've never been in trouble before, and the things that I have been found guilty of in here have been just stupidity. I know I made a lot of mistakes in here, and I have learned from them. And before this last infraction had been 10 years, because I grew up and I knew that I needed to stop making dumb decisions, and I did. I knew it was time to grow up and do the right thing. I just made a lot of dumb choices and mistakes in here. So I know I've learned from those mistakes.
What do you feel is the most important thing that you've learned while you've been incarcerated?
Ma'am?
What do you think is the most important thing that you have learned while you have been incarcerated?
That people are important, that
those babies were important,
that forgiveness and love, that family is important, and that decisions we make don't just affect us, they affect the people that we love.
It affects everybody.
And not to take things or people for granted.
All right, is there anything else that you would like to tell us today that wasn't in your packet or that has not already been said?
I would just like to say that
I think Fred got a phone call back.
I am a Christian, and God is a big part of my life, and I know He has forgiven me, and it is by His grace and mercy that, and I have a lot of faith, and I live by that every day. And I just ask that you show that same kind of mercy as well. And I guess, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board?
That's his sister. That's the boy's sister. Well, Mr. Smith thought we married again.
You're welcome to stay seated if you want to.
Madam Chairman, members of the committee.
They're bad.
It's been a tough 30 years. I'm not here to speak about what she's done in prison. You all have the records and accounts of all that. I'm just here to advocate on Michael and Alex's behalf and as their father. You know, God gives us free choice, and she made free choice that night to end her life. This wasn't a tragic mistake. It wasn't something that she didn't mean to do. She purposely meant to end her life. I never have felt any remorse from her for it. She's never expressed any to me. I never seen it on paper.
It's sad.
No, you've heard, she changed my life for the rest of my life that night. Some for the better, some for the worse, but what she did, not only to Michael and Alex, she came pretty close to causing me to end my life.
Wow.
Because of the grief that she brought upon me. but thankfully she didn't.
This is hard.
I understand back in 95 that through the state's law, life imprisonment, 30 years to life. And now that's different, but at that time, that's what counts. I understand that. But ultimately, to me, that's only 15 years per child. Her own children.
That's what's impossible to believe. She murdered her own children. It's sad.
So I'm asking that you please deny her parole today. And hopefully in the future, but specifically today. Not let her out. I miss them very much.
I'm sure he does.
And I love them very much. And I will be here every 2 years going forward to ensure that your death doesn't go in vain. Thank you.
Thank you
So guys, what do you think? Should she be paroled after killing her own children?
I'm very, very sorry this board is to all of you.
They're going to let us know here in just a little bit.
Cost you, but we sincerely appreciate you all being here with us today. Thank you very much.
This is so sad.
And thank you for the reminder with the picture of Alex and Michael. They were beautiful children.
They missed all their birthdays.
So thank you for
graduations, wedding days.
We wish you the very best. And if no one else
Christmases,
has anything else that they
Thanksgiving.
would like to say, if you all will exit with these ladies over here, we'll have an answer for you shortly. Thank you so much for being here.
Now they're leaving the area there, as you can see. I didn't realize they were in the same room with them. You can see this lady here, looks like she's crying. Sad. Wow, this is unbelievable. Now they're going to vote on whether to give her parole. So what do you all think? Do you think she deserves to be paroled after 30 years for murdering her children? She literally left them in the car seat, guys, strapped in, 3-year-olds and 14 months old. And in one part of her interview, she said she could hear them screaming for her. So do you think that she deserves parole? Or should she stay in prison? They're going to take a vote on it now. So let's see what they say. You know, she threw their life away. Now she's asking to have a life.
As a reminder, Mrs. Mira did recuse herself.
Okay.
Ms. Susan Smith is denied parole. The vote is unanimous.
Parole.
1 and 6. Thank you.
And there you can see why they denied it.
Thank you. The time now is 12:51 p.m. We will pause.
Okay, okay. Now you see why they denied it. Now, Freddie is MIA. He's on a very important phone call. Now you see why they denied it. Everyone gave her a denial, so she will come up for parole again in 2 years. Like he said, every 2 years, she will be up for parole. And do you think that she just should ever get parole? Or do you think she should stay where she's at? Okay. That'll do it. Thanks for watching. God bless you each and every one. We couldn't do it without you all. Please like, subscribe, and share. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.